Good morning, Mean Green Nation. Hope everyone out there is having a great Friday morning. I hope everyone enjoyed a little real live football on TV last night for the first time. And seems what forever. And you know what? Today is the first day in full pads for North Texas. And then tomorrow we get the first scrimmage. I'll be out there. I'll be afterwards bringing you guys maybe some of my thoughts on here recorded. I'll certainly be posting my thoughts on meangreennation.com. But first and foremost, let's get into today's topic, what I will be breaking down. And that is realistic expectations for 2016. What can we expect from this football team that was just, we all know it was horrible last year. We all know it was bad. The situation inside the locker room was bad. There wasn't team chemistry, the coaching staff, everything about it was bad. And that's even, that's just stating the stuff off the field. The stuff on the field was some of the worst, statistical things that I've seen in my lifetime and many other people have seen. And, the plays and, we've all put that past us. We've all put that past us. We moved on. We've got a new coach. We've got a new staff. Things are energetic. Things are looking up. We're finally in the new age of football with our air raid offense. So a lot of people have very high hopes for this team. A lot of people believe that Luttrell and Graham Harrell can orchestrate an offense that's, maybe not out of this world, but certainly a lot better than what everybody from like the national media side looking into UNT, they probably don't feel as good as UNT fans do right now about the team. They probably don't feel that there's a lot of talent on the roster. And certainly there was we talked about the roster turnover and what the Luttrell's brought in here. There are some people that I've talked to that I trust that before UNT hired their head coach saying that, there was talent on the offensive end. On the offensive side of the ball, they mentioned T. Gorey and Wilson and Creighton Barr and those guys said that if they could get a young and up-and-comer coach with an offensive mind, young, energetic, that could, bring some life to this offense, that there was enough talent there that, the turnaround wouldn't be as long as some people thought. Okay, so what did UNT do? They went out, they got Seth Luttrell, they brought him in, he hired Graham Harrell. Seems like everybody from the Mike Leach tree is gold. We got 2 guys on our staff. Well, we have 3 guys, really, from the Mike Leach tree of offense. So the expectations, I believe, for offense from a UNT fan point of view is through the roof. I don't know how... No, I won't say I don't know, because if I'm giving you analysis, I should know. So my feeling is that somewhere in between. I'm not with, the national media that thinks this offense isn't going to be that great. I do have my concerns. The offensive line is probably the biggest concern. I think Alec Morris is going to be really good. I think when you give him time to throw the ball, he's good. He will get the ball where it needs to go. He will make smart decisions with the football. I think that the running backs, their depth there and the playmaking ability is really good. I think the wide receivers are a little bit underrated. I think Rutherford and T. Gorey are in for a big year. I think that is Thompson. He's had the 1 year of JUCO. That 1 year where he got here that it just really wasn't that good. Well, I wouldn't say it wasn't that good. He didn't have good quarterback play like we know. But still, he was getting acclimated to FBS level football. Okay, now he's had that 1 year. Now he's in a really good offense that fits and suits him. It suits pretty much all the wide receivers we have because they're going to get opportunities to catch the ball. You talk about those 3 guys. You talk about the spring that Kelvin Smith had. You talk about Kenny Byers that has had what seems like a good fall camp. I know I threw some shade on him earlier this week. Not sure if I would believe that he could make plays at wide receiver. Some of the reports coming out of camp There's not a lot of reports that have come out of camp because we only have one person covering it, really. But still, he's making plays out there. It's been highlighted. Some of the other freshmen, Busey, Harrod Griffin with his speed, Tyler Wilson, those guys have all been highlighted. And then there's multiple other wide receivers that have made plays throughout fall camp to be excited about. So there's guys that can make plays in this offense. I harped on it, and I'll keep preaching it. This offense allows those guys to make plays, puts them in position to succeed. So you add all that up, and the expectations for the offense, you feel like as a UNT fan should be really good. You feel like we should be putting up, 35, 40 points a game. I don't know if that's realistic, though. I think realistic is somewhere, some of the early, projections, I'm a big stat guy. So some, running the numbers, trying to get the formula, I know it's not great, but still 26 points per game right now. That's what I feel. That's what my initial thought was 26 points per game on offense. That's an improvement of 11 points from last year. I think that's pretty realistic. I could see them going as high as maybe 30 points per game. That would be everything falling into place. I think the offensive line being better than what we think it is. And maybe, I would even say maybe like 32. 32 would probably be the tops. Right now, I feel kind of comfortable with 26, 28 range. With what this offense has and still some of the limitations. And again, this is a lot of just potential. We're not basing this off of production. We're basing this off of potential. And that's a scary thing. So I think being realistic, 26, 28 points per game, there's obviously the potential there to go higher. You bring in, what Seth Littrell has done throughout his career, at least for the past 4 years, and I think, his stats that he's got out there is something like, I want to say like 35 points per game is what it comes down to. 36 points per game. I'm sorry, 36 points per game is what his offenses have averaged the last 4. So, I mean, you look at where we were coming from last year, like 15 points per game. That's atrocious. So he's got a long way to go. The talent is there. The potential is there to get up to 32 points per game, somewhere in that range. But right now, I think realistically, 26, 28 is a great starting point. Now you get over on the other side of the ball, the defense. We're giving up close to 42 points per game. It's just as unacceptable. But you realize that there's so much room for improvement there because you felt like the scheme was all wrong. They were just put in bad positions. And you hear all the talk coming out of camp. Oh, we're going to be aggressive. We're going to swarm to the ball. All this gibberish. You hear that at every camp, to be honest with you. Everybody thinks that they're going to play faster on defense. They're going to be more aggressive. They're going to take your head off. Everybody says the same thing in camp. And North Texas is no different. They're saying the same things as everybody else is. Do I believe realistically that the defense will be better than last year? Yes. It can't get much worse, and I don't think that it'll be the same. I think there's going to be improvements because I think the defensive coaching staff, especially our defensive coordinator, he's a good teacher. He's a great teacher of the game on the field. I think that there's some talent on defense that these guys just need to be coached up. Finney, we were expecting so much of him last year because he has such a great spring. But again, he went through that JUCO 1-year transition period. Now he's probably going to be a starter. Fred Scott, we had high hopes for him. Ever since Zach Orr left, we thought that Fred Scott was going to be the guy on defense that could step in and fill that role immediately. It didn't really happen. That's okay. He's a senior now. He's a leader on the team. And I think he's going to play well in this defense. Then you look at some of the additions that we talked about. on Tuesday, after the roster was posted, a guy like Wheeler, you hear him making plays in camp. You hear, stuff like Calvin Minor making plays. You hear freshman defensive back Jameel Moore. A lot of people were high on him, intercepting passes. Brett Vito reported that the defense had a great day. Well, not a great day, but their best day of camp yesterday. So all those things with the additions that we have and how bad we were last year, what is a realistic expectation for this defense this year? One, I do think they will be more aggressive. I do think that they will be able to get to the quarterback more. I'm not sure about the run defense. We should have a pretty decent pass defense, but I don't know how we can do stopping the run. We were so bad last year where we're giving up, nearly, you're giving up close to 250 yards of rushing a game. And so I think that we'll get it closer to 200 yards. We'll get it down. 35 yards per game less than last year, the rushing defense. It'll get better, but it still won't be great. As far as, giving up points per game, I'm saying right now, initially 36. But I'm going to go to the scrimmage tomorrow. I'm going to see. I'm going to see how these guys have progressed. These initial projections aren't really, they're based off of, some of what happened last year and the talent that we brought in and, projecting the improvement for this year. But again, I want to see from my eyes so I can tell you, more accurately what I think that this team can do. So being realistic, I don't think our defense is going to get down to the 30 points per game range. I think that's probably too far of a jump. It may happen, but I'm being realistic here, and I think 36 is a good starting point, just like I said on offense with the 26. I think a great points per game given up on defense would be somewhere in the 30 range for this defense. That improvement would be tremendous. I do think they're going to force more turnovers this year. I do think our secondary is our best unit on defense. I think our defensive line is probably our worst unit, and I think stopping the run's we're gonna struggle with that. One other area I want to get back to a little bit with the offense. I forgot to talk a little bit about some of the other projections that we had. Alec Morris, I have him right now tentatively 2,700 yards, 23 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I think that's a pretty realistic expectation for him. I'm not expecting him to go out and throw 40 touchdowns. Is it possible? But I don't think that's possible. I think, the high number for him would be somewhere around 31. That would be great protection. Wide receivers better than, projected. So somewhere in the range, 23 touchdowns, 2,700 to 3,000 yards. I think that would be a good bid. Rushing yards, I think we're going to take a step back in running the football. I don't think we're going to be as successful as we were last year in running. I know, you guys say that the offense is going to be wide open and that's going to open up lanes, and it can be true. And I think, but right now, my concern with the offensive line is that what leads me to believe that the running game will take a step back this year. And I think Latrell and Harrell, we don't really know how they're going to call plays. Do they want to focus more on the run game? Or, we know these guys like to let it fly, so we know that they want to focus on the passing game or get more passes in there. So I think, they probably understand they're going to get the balls to their best players. They're going to get the ball to their best player, not the balls. They're going to get the ball to their best player. That could be Jeffrey Wilson. That could be T. Goree. We don't know yet. We don't know what their strategy is. I think we're going to find out a little bit more about how far the strategy and how far some of these guys have come on Saturday. But again, it's just the initial point. These are just some of the initial projections. Realistically, I'd say, the 26 points per game, 36, 35 on defense. And then when you start talking about wins, how many wins per year this year? Boy, that's tough because it's a tough schedule. It's a tough schedule, and Next week we're going to get into breaking down our non-conference opponents and then our Conference USA opponents and our Conference USA West opponents. But when you look at having to face the 3 top teams from Conference USA East, that's not